Welcome back to another episode of the Silly Little Girls Club, and my guest today is Nikki Lilly. Now, Nikki Lilly has done more by the age of 20 than most of us, I think, will ever do in our lifetime. She is an incredible advocate for people with facial differences. She's spoken at the UN, she's won a BAFTA, she's written a book, and, she's just an incredibly inspiring young woman that is really changing the narrative out there for people with facial differences. This conversation is so inspiring, it's so important, and I really can't wait for you to listen to it. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Silly Little Girls Club.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my God, I'm so happy that we can make this happen.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, and it's just so nice that it's aligned today because you've been coming to the salon for a while, so I've known you.
I know. And we followed each other for ages, but it's been this kind of I've vicariously known you and feel like I've met you, but I haven't.
No, I know.
It's so crazy. This is the first time.
Literally.
It's so strange.
I know. I thought that this morning. I was like, have I met Nikki? I'm sure I have. And I was like, actually, no. We've just
message.
Yeah.
Followed each other.
Yeah.
So great. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, thank you so much for coming on, because I just think what you do in your story is, I think it's just so inspiring, and it's so important that we have conversations and open up, because to start off with, I guess you've done more by the time you're 20 than most of us ever do in a lifetime.
Too kind.
It's true. I feel like we're speaking a minute ago. It's all these different lives and all these different things. How would you explain if somebody asked you what you do?
Oh God. Oh, what a question. I would say that it's kind of changed over the years. I feel like now I'm in a place where quite a lot of what I do is advocacy, especially for people with facial differences and disabilities and with my condition. But I'd say my background is also presenting, and that's something that I'm also hoping to continue doing. But then I guess my day-to-day thing is just making videos online on social media platforms, mainly to do with makeup and fashion, and basically hobbies that I fell into when I was really unwell that have now become my day-to-day job.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's kind of a bit of everything. I don't like to pigeonhole myself, because I think that's when I'm sure you can agree. We were just talking about how you you like doing stuff with flowers, that I think as soon as you start pigeonholing yourself is when you lose the love for something.
Yeah.
I try and just kind of do a bit of everything, and a mixture of obviously the stuff that's really cool and fun from the outside perspective that's insane, but also I think for me, anything I do has to feel internally fulfilling, and I feel like that has become even more significant and important the longer I've done this career.
Yeah.
Because I think again, I'm sure you can agree, the longer you do something, sometimes the harder it is to be excited about things or to be fulfilled by things. I think that's just how we are as humans in anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's anything becomes a bit monotonous.
Yeah, it's our attention spans as well,
Exactly.
I think.
Oh
I'm
my
so
God.
shiny.
Yeah. Oh, the attention spans. And I think we're in a generation that is so fast moving and so much about goals or markers of success, which I think can be super toxic. That for me now, I just try and focus on what is internally filling my cup and fulfilling me. And it's not the things that are sparkly and cool necessarily. It's the things that just make a difference in even the smallest ways, through my advocacy and stuff. So I think even when I am doing my makeup videos that on the surface are just makeup videos, me putting on a lipstick, there's still an advocacy element to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's really inspiring and giving people confidence. And I think that's why what you do really resonates with so many people, and not just people with facial differences, everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody struggles with confidence and different things, but I think the way you advocate it's so inspiring.
Thank you.
What is it that sort of really what made you start this sort of just sharing your journey? What was it, a ping moment where you're just or was it more just fun, I want to share my videos, or was there that I want to inspire others?
Yeah, I think when I first got diagnosed with my condition at 6 years old, I was left feeling so alone and so isolated and so I kind of felt like a fish in a fishbowl, where my whole life had turned upside down. I was such a chatty and outgoing child, and I kind of just became a shell of myself. And I had to give up every hobby. I did so many things. I did ballet. I was on the boys' football team, one of two girls. I did gymnastics, Girl Scouts, so many things that instantly all of the things that brought me joy and allowed me to express myself and gave me community were gone. And so I think for me, I would watch like YouTube videos, this was in like 2011,
Yeah.
2012. Like I would just watch videos as escapism, just loved watching them, and found like solace in them, especially after I got diagnosed, and especially loved makeup tutorials and things like that because I thought it was so insane how makeup can transform someone's confidence, rather than it transforming their looks, but just like how they feel.
Yeah.
I thought that was so special. And so one day I like filmed a video on our like iPad that we shared with the family, like while my brother and sister were at school. It was my time with the iPad.
Yeah.
And I would just film these little videos, but not think anything of them. It was just ways for me while I was at home, unwell, unable to go anywhere, do anything except go to hospital.
Yeah.
My way to express myself, and it was just me talking about like makeup and things like that, and I just loved it. And so I asked my parents if I could post it online,
Yeah.
create a channel, and initially they were obviously quite worried because my parents had changed at
They
this
probably didn't really understand either, really, that
point, and I
YouTube
was
thing.
8 years old.
Yeah.
So like there's
Wow.
also that element of like I was literally a small
Yeah.
child. Like, it's quite scary to put like yourself online
Yeah.
at the best of times, let alone when you're young.
Yeah, and I suppose I bet they're worried about what people would say and
Yeah,
reactions and how that would
exactly
make you
that.
feel.
I was completely unaware of
Yeah.
that because I lived in such a
But
bubble.
8.
Yeah, I didn't know people
Yeah.
could be unkind,
Yeah.
really. So I was in such a bubble and quite naive and innocent. So they agreed to do it because I think they understood it could be a really positive thing for me and an outlet and something for me to put my time into and think about and distract myself with, but with comments off.
Yeah.
And that was the first year I'd post every now and then. Like, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It was just like it was there whenever I wanted to. And I absolutely loved it. And so after about a year, they allowed me to turn the comments on, but like my dad heavily monitored
Fine.
it, and
Oh,
I
that's
didn't really
amazing.
check them too often. But when I turned them on, I was so overwhelmed by like the response, and I wasn't, getting loads of views or anything like
Yeah.
that. But the comments were so lovely and so personal, and a lot of people also just wanted to know more about my condition.
Yeah.
And so I think it started from if initially it was just all makeup. I didn't talk about anything to do with my condition
Yeah.
or my appearance or anything because I mean, firstly there was no need to.
Yeah.
But secondly, it was kind of like I was trying to like distract myself from everything in that area.
Yeah, if you're going through all your treatment and all of that
Exactly.
stuff,
It was
it's
like all of those topics were kind of like the thing I didn't want to talk about or think about in those times. But then as people kind of asked me about it, I thought, okay, well, I could kind of use this as a way to break a stigma or educate people or make them aware if they're not already. And so I would just every now and then talk about, struggles I have with my condition, about my condition. I used to go to America for medical treatment for 5 years, and I filmed a video when I was like 10 years old called My Medical Story, and it was basically all about till that point, like being 10 from 6, everything I'd been through.
Yeah.
And it did so well and got such a good response. And I think people were just very enlightened by it, I guess, and inspired by it. And I think what's always been really special to me is that my audience is from all walks of life. Like you said, it's not just people with facial conditions or anything in that kind of area of disabilities, it's everyone.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really love is that my story resonates with just a whole wide range of people from all walks of life. And I talk about this a lot, but when I first kind of turned my comments on, one comment that I got that really spurred me on to then talk about that side of my life more was a woman who had cancer, and she had watched my videos and she hadn't left the house for 2 years because she felt so underconfident in herself and kind of like, what's the point in living, basically, understandably. And she said after watching some of my videos, I wasn't talking about anything in particular, I was just playing with makeup. She left the house for the first time.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice.
I know. And it's like stuff like that where I was like, what?
You're
like,
making a
I don't understand
difference.
what I'm doing that's like having an impact like that, but that is so special.
Yeah.
And so like I was so taken aback, and I couldn't believe that my little videos had had such an impact on someone.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what really was like, okay, Nikki, like you can use this for good and use this to talk about your story. And I also feel that makeup for me was something that I found I loved always, but especially when my appearance changed, I really struggled. It was completely out of my control. And I was so young, I didn't really understand what was happening to me. So I think by using makeup and posting tutorials, it almost made me confront myself, my appearance and my reality, that it helped me then process what I was going through, accept it probably more than I ever would have been able to, and more quickly.
That's
maybe.
actually really interesting.
Like, it's like you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you're applying makeup to a different face that you once had.
And you're getting familiar with it, and you're recognizing
so
it.
I think it almost, like, it was very difficult, obviously, but it helped me, process it, because I was kind of looking at it every day when I went from like, I don't want to look in the mirror, I don't want to, you know, when is this gonna go away?
Yeah.
And so I think just by posting videos and by me filming and editing them and things like that, it was a way for me to share my story in a way that was like not preachy or anything, but just parts of my life, you know? Like when I was having a difficult day, I said. When I was doing something I loved, I said.
Yeah.
You know, there was no
Just honesty and authentic.
yeah,
And yeah.
and I knew no different. I wasn't trying to do
I
anything.
think that's what's so special about like early days of YouTube, especially
Yeah.
like when there was that real authenticity and
So wholesome.
yeah, and you know
Yeah.
that genuine like need to share to make a difference.
Exactly. And it's the fact that I think no one did it for anything but a love.
Yeah,
And I think now sometimes with social media, it feels so much about like what you can get out of it.
sure. Yeah,
But for me, like in that time, it was like, and now, you know, it's like whenever I post a YouTube video or film one, it's still like that kind of innocent young version of me that I feel like hitting record on my camera. And like I feel so at home there. Like YouTube feels like kind of my family.
yeah,
And it's like I could be gone for like, you know, I've had quite a few months where I didn't post.
Yeah.
So I was going for a lot, but I feel like I return and it's like my family's waiting for me.
yeah.
And I think that's what's really special. And so, you know, I think with sharing my story, it's been really special because I've been able to build this community that's deeper than just like, what lipstick color is that?
Yeah.
Like really personal stories. And I think that's what feels, I don't take that for granted. And I think that's something that I hold very, like, if someone said, what's the best part of like your job? I'd say it's that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like so understandably so, like having such a
Yeah.
positive impact on so many people. I mean,
It's
does that
so
ever feel like,
unknown
do you ever feel like a pressure though for it or?
I do a little bit in the sense that I because I do a lot of advocacy, I
Mhm.
never want to seem like the mouthpiece or like I'm speaking for other people and their experiences. Because anyone with my condition, or with a facial difference or with a disability, especially, like I never want to feel like or seem like I'm speaking for them.
Yeah.
Everyone's experience is completely different and unique to them. And I guess sometimes the difficulty is that I I can only speak for myself, and whenever I do talk about things, it has to feel very like natural to me and things I'm really passionate about. So there's definitely pressure in a sense that, like, you know, as incredible as it is, I've been able to do what I have, that I kind of need to like pave the way for other people. But equally, I think like I kind of try and take that in my stride because all I want is to show people that, you know, of course there's people before me that have done things, you know, there's so many incredible people now that are actors or, you know, in social media or dancers or doing so many incredible things now, which is just amazing to see because it shows that it's possible.
Yeah.
So I think I find it quite a lot of pressure, especially when people message me with quite personal things and like they need advice and it's like I can only share what I know. But just, you know, still try and offer my sentiment. But I find that quite difficult because then it's like obviously someone's kind of putting their like story onto you or what they're going for onto you, and it's like happily I'll take that on, but it becomes quite heavy.
Yeah.
So I think I find that a lot because obviously people feel safe to confide in me, which is amazing. But I try and see it as like take it in your stride. It's either it's incredible that people feel that way about you. There's no kind of like barrier, like there's no pedestal really. It's like people just see you as a friend or someone they can a confidant. But also use it as a way to show like it's something's possible. Because I think I grew up never ever ever feeling represented in anything, whether it is in shows I watched, in toys I played with, in my normal life. Like I never saw anyone that looked like me.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, representation is so important in whatever way it may be in terms of race or gender or sexuality, whatever it is, disability. Unless you see someone that's done something, it's hard to imagine yourself being able to do it. And so I think now for me, it's more trying to like kind of go into rooms where we've notoriously maybe not felt accepted, and kind of showing that it's possible.
Change that narrative.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm more trying kind of direct my attention to so it doesn't feel as heavy.
I mean,
possible.
going to speak at the UN for this kind of thing, we can't not talk about this because, like, you know, going in and breaking that sort of mold and really, you know, advocating for people with facial differences, like, what was that like? And how does that even, like, how does one even get a phone call being like, hey, Nikki, do you want to go speak at the UN?
Yeah. So, it was like, it was kind of this. So I'm the patron for a charity called a non-profit called Face Equality International. And it's all about kind of, you know, especially like social justice for
Mhm.
people and legislative laws when it comes to how people are treated with disabilities and facial conditions, rather than like just awareness.
Yeah.
Is more like kind of action and law based, which I think for me feels a lot more like it's doing
Yeah.
something.
It's tangible and it's like measurable, isn't
Exactly
it?
that, and I think it feels a bit less. I think sometimes you talk about things so much that you're like, doesn't even matter anymore. Like,
Yeah.
I hear it and then forget about it.
Yeah.
Listening.
And you want to see actual change, like
Exactly. I
written
think
down.
yeah, you get a bit fed up of
Yeah.
like just saying the same things, but it feeling like it falls on empty ears sometimes, especially when you're the main
It's so
person
frustrating.
doing it. Yeah, and so I think for me it felt really right to, you know, and special to be the patron for them. So they kind of brought up this idea of like speaking at the UN, and I was like, oh, okay, like I didn't really think it was gonna happen. Like, I was like, yeah, sure, like okay, yeah, cool idea, but yeah, it won't happen. And then about 6 months later, Phil, who was kind of like the head of FEI, was like, okay, you've been approved to speak at the United Nations, and I was like, sorry, what?
So yeah, sorry.
Like, sorry, what? Like,
Yeah.
like I was like, no, this is not happening. This feels so surreal. Because it's like you hear about the UN and like it just feels
We
like
see it in
kind of
movies.
thing, yeah, but it doesn't feel real. And so I think then the reality sank in of like, oh shit, I'm now speaking there, and it was in the main room where you speak in front of all of the countries, like in front of you. But I think it felt like a really like momentous moment because the UN have never done a panel kind of directly based on facial conditions and disability and laws and, you know, what's lacking and things like that. So it felt like a momentous moment because it was like, wow, you're seeing this, you're seeing us, like. And I think, you know, with my community and like just people in our kind of world of disability or facial conditions, you often feel like you fall through the cracks of society. Like you never really fully integrate, you're never really fully accepted, you're not really thought about and or considered in certain ways. And so it felt like, wow, you see us, like, you know. And even a few years ago that probably would not have been the case. And initially actually it was going to be like a side panel, like not in the main room.
Yeah.
So the fact it was like in the main room felt really
Like progressive.
poignant and progressive and special. And so I just knew that I wanted to do it justice. But and that's when I really felt like a lot of weight on my shoulders because I was like, God, I'm kind of speaking for a whole community.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to say the wrong thing and I want to do the best I can. And whenever I'm doing something like that, even if I've done like 100 speeches, like the anxiety is insane.
Yeah, yeah.
I felt like I was going to throw up. Like I didn't eat the whole day because I was like, my mum was like, you need to eat. And I was like, I'm going to eat this one chip. That's all I can eat, like till it's done. Like I was so anxious. Nothing was, you know, I just couldn't even talk. I was so like
focused,
worried. And like I lost my voice, which, you know, obviously I was supposed to do this podcast like months ago and I completely lost my voice and I just slowly gained it back, but it was still very raw. So I was like, what if I lose my voice? Like, you know, it was all very anxiety inducing. But when I sat there, I kind of just zoned out and I feel like I was like, okay, I've got one thing I need to do. I need to get through this speech and just do it justice and do it in the best way I can with like what I can.
Yeah.
And it just felt very special. And, you know, after I had so many people from different countries come up to me and say, you know, you did so well and talk about it. And it felt, I just wanted to do it right. And I think it felt like very special that people coming up to me and talking to me about it. And I think, you know, speaking at the UN is something that is so big and it felt like a real step in the right direction. And, you know, who knows what will come of it in terms of like actual laws and things like that. However, it's a global stage.
Yeah.
And it's a global stage that we've never ever been recognized on or seen on before.
Definitely a step forward, right?
Exactly. And it was, you know, after I did my speech and there were two other people on my panel doing speeches about, you know, the deaf community. You know, it's incredibly inspiring, and having each country, like from Cuba to Mexico to America to, you know, Ireland, like all of these countries around the world talking about what they are trying to do to move in the right direction. You know, I think the world, especially now, feels pretty bleak at times, pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So to be in a room, it made me feel quite hopeful, when sometimes I can feel a little bit down about the state of the world and like, you know, my community and how it feels like it's not really going in the right direction or moving.
Yeah.
So it felt very special, and like it still feels so surreal.
Like, doesn't feel
I
like it happened.
took that photo outside with all the flags.
Yeah.
Like, this is real. Like, what the hell? And it really felt like, I mean, it's probably one of the biggest and best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
And that is like talking about like internal fulfillment. I mean, that takes the cake.
That really does, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was very proud of myself. I was very proud of like the community of FEI and getting there. And I think it just, hopefully I'll be doing more with the UN as well. So I think for me, it felt really
Like it's poignant. Like it
poignant
feels
and
like,
big.
yeah.
Like,
And to do that at 20,
I know.
like
Yeah.
that is huge.
It's funny, like I feel like in my career I've done so many kind of big milestones or received so many things, and like of course I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. But equally I feel like I don't fully process what I've done. There's this really strange thing where it feels like it's this other person that's done or achieved all of these things, which maybe is a good thing, like because I feel kind of like detached from it.
Yeah.
But equally I'm like, Nikki, like you've got
You need to own this.
these awards, like you've
yeah.
spoken at the UN, like hello.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, yeah, it's crazy, and like obviously I know I've done it because I've lived it, but equally I'm like, was that me?
It feels like a dream.
Yeah, did that really happen?
It really happened.
Really strange thing. But I feel like maybe that kind of helps because then I can be somewhat removed from it in a way.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of like maybe a coping way to
Probably,
go.
like,
It is quite massive, like in terms of like a career that spanned like 12 years already,
which is mental.
Yeah, it's like a career you started at 8,
Yeah,
really.
at 8.
Like
Yeah.
that doesn't happen to many people, and I think
No.
because you're still like going through everything and growing and like
Oh
this.
my god.
So you've got that brain on that's going and living life, and then you've got a career brain which people haven't really had to have at your age, really.
Yeah.
So it's no surprise really. Sometimes it feels a bit disconnected.
Yeah, I feel like over the past couple of years, I obviously because I'm known like my name is Nikki, like, and my middle name's Lily, so my online thing's always been Nikki Lilly. I feel like it's almost become this kind of like other. It's still me.
Yeah.
But I feel like in order to kind of hang up that and be like, okay, I'm not working right now mentally, I feel like I've kind of tried to like separate Nikki Lilly from Nikki a little bit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's like, well, then who's who?
And where's the lines?
Where's the
and where's the downtime?
Exactly
and
that, because it's like I'm sure you can agree. It's like you don't really leave an office. It's not a 9 to 5. So it's like who is who? Like who is Sam? Who's Samantha Cusick? It's like a similar thing. So I think for me, I've really tried to. I can kind of like it's still Nikki Lilly. I'm still Nikki Lilly, but it's like it's a heightened.
You're trying to have like boundaries.
No, it's a different version of me, and so it's like the version of you that the public sees, or people that watch you see, versus the version of you that you see or your family sees. And so I think for me that's been really important to separate the two. And I think because I have, it's not like I've been doing tons in this industry from like at a very early age. When I was doing YouTube, it was literally just like posting my little video for a few years.
It's growing now, and it starts to snowball, right?
Exactly,
and like I see you all over the place doing so many different things.
It's crazy. I think I never could have imagined it, and it's I think pretty beautiful because I've like started so innocently, and never in my wildest dreams could I have pictured it. Like for example, like I know you work with Sephora, and I like a month ago or so went with them to Italy.
Yeah,
and
that trip looked amazing.
Yeah, it was such a fun trip.
So good.
It's like mini old car.
You had the little field
Yeah, I loved it. Oh my god, I felt like I was in. Have you seen that Lizzie McGuire film?
Oh,
when she's
obviously.
at home, I felt like it was.
Yeah.
I was her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fun, but it felt like a real. Like it made me really emotional because it felt like a real full circle moment. Because I remember I used to watch like American YouTubers, and they used to be like, "Oh, this is what I got from Sephora."
Yeah,
like it was
so
it was like the kind of mecca for like people that love makeup. Is like, oh my god, Sephora. Like,
I think I've read that you always talk about like when you was going to America for treatment.
That's it.
You would go to Sephora.
That's exactly it. So that's So whenever I used to go to Denver for medical treatment, and I'd go every 6 to 8 weeks, and it was incredibly difficult. And every time my operation was so taxing, we'd go like about 2 days before my surgery, and we'd go. There was a mall near like where we were staying, and there was a Sephora. And I remember the first time I went, I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I spent 3 hours in Sephora, like much to my dad's like, oh my god,
He's like, oh for
are
God.
we done now? Like, oh,
The
and
dad's
full
always
bank
waiting
balance.
outside to go and make me laugh.
Literally on his phone, like waiting for me and my mum to be done. But it like, I used to go in there, and everyone in there was so friendly and so lovely, and I would just play with makeup, and I didn't like myself, and I've struggled a lot over the years to still accept myself. I talk about acceptance and things, but I think sometimes believing in yourself is really difficult. It's like you can tell your friends something, but believing it yourself is like another thing.
Yeah.
And so it was a place where I felt really accepted and like not seen as like an other, just seen as another person.
Yeah. Just someone that was sprayed with makeup.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah. And so it was like a little escapism for me. And like there's a photo of me that was taken when I'm outside Sephora, like with my bag for the first time. And so that felt so insane.
Yeah.
So none of these experiences ever become normal. And I think that's what's so important, is to really be like, "Oh, look where you are."
That's when you should reflect.
But
Should be
then,
like,
yeah, it's so tricky sometimes to like take in where you've come from, and like how, far you've come as well, So I think that felt like a really special moment. Or like last year I went to New York with Mac.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I used to go to the Mac shop and get a lipstick every time. Like when I was
do you remember
younger,
back to
like,
Mac where you take like your
yeah,
5 empties and get a
exactly.
free
Like
one?
I remember I'd get like these lipsticks and like I'd save up for them, and
Yeah.
because obviously it's not the cheapest, but like I would go to the mall as well, and like go to the Mac shop and spend ages in there. And I remember I got my makeup done in there once by the team.
Yeah.
It's like things like that where it's like, okay, now
Made a
you
big
see me, and now I'm working with the actual brand as like a true fan.
Yeah.
And in times where it really helped me, I think it's this really
It's
crazy
special.
thing and special thing.
Yeah.
Like it never becomes normal to me, but it's like sometimes I struggle a bit being present, and so I really in those times try and be like, Nikki,
Yeah.
this
You
is
need to enjoy this.
yeah, exactly. Like, take it all in.
Yeah, because this is one of those things never in your wildest dreams would
Not at
you
all.
thought that would happen. And
No.
I think you can never really undervalue like that sort of, people seeing you and that almost like escapism that they offer and a safe space. Like, and that doesn't happen with a lot of brands.
No, it doesn't. And it's like it's almost a haven. And I think it was brands and places where nothing was wrong or nothing was the mold.
Yeah.
And I think I never felt like I always felt like the black sheep a lot of my life. I really struggled with my parents. I really struggled to connect to other people. I didn't really have any friends growing up because one, I was also like flying to America every 6 to 8 years, and gosh,
That
don't really
must
care.
be so
Like
tough.
it was so tough. And like people, I just started secondary school, and like, as soon as I
So you're in and out of school a lot for the treatment?
every 6 to 8 weeks.
This season is sponsored by Sephora, and their message is one that I absolutely love. We belong to something beautiful. Sephora is more than a store. It's a space where diversity, joy, and creativity come together. From the skincare aisle to the beauty hub, it's a celebration of everyone's most authentic selves. So whether you're shopping for your signature scent or trying out K-beauty for the first time, Sephora is here to champion your beauty your way. Was that because they didn't do the treatments that you needed here?
Yeah. No.
Wow.
So I had 9 treatments in the UK for about 2 years, and then they were like, it was also years ago before there was any developments of drugs or things like that. We're in a much better place now, but it's still very slow. But yeah, there was like nothing they could really offer me after the 9, and my health was getting even worse. And they were like, yeah, this is all we can offer you. And that was like at the best children's hospital, like one of in the world. And so there was a doctor in America, in Denver, who kind of specialized in my condition, who was offering something that was not available in the UK.
Yeah.
So then my parents had to use all their savings, and we had to like save up for it to go to America for treatment. And it was really taxing, obviously, not just on me and traumatizing, but as a family. It's like my parents seeing me in such a way. I have an older brother and sister. They're having to like leave them to come with me. We're in a random place where we don't know anyone else. There's no support network bar, like just them.
The immediate,
So it was very isolating, very lonely, and very difficult. Like the first time we went, I was so unwell that we weren't even sure if I'd make it home for Christmas. Like we got there in November, and we were there for 8 weeks because I was so unwell that I couldn't fly back.
Oh gosh.
So it was, my dad flew back, and like because he had to work. Otherwise, we couldn't afford anything. And yeah, it was just a really, really, really difficult time. And so it was just me and my mum in our little like motel. For that whole time with no one else but each other.
Wow.
And I think that's
so hard.
we've been through so much. As my family is like my support network, and like my family are all my best friends.
They must be so proud of you.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's this funny thing because I think they just see me as Nikki.
Yeah, for sure.
But equally, they're like, this is insane.
Like, this is Nikki. When you're separating, like you talk about separating out. They're like, but this is Nikki, but this is what Nikki does.
Yeah. I think like it's always so nice when I'm able to also just take them with me for these things. So like when I got my BAFTA, like they were with me on the table, and I've never seen my dad like cry so much in his life. My dad that just doesn't cry, like sad films is a thing. Or when I got when I won Junior Bake Off, like again, never seen my dad cry so much.
BAFTA to Junior Bake Off, I love that.
Yeah, like in the episode you can just see him sobbing.
Yeah, that's just what they've been through.
Yeah,
like
it's so much deeper than just a normal kind of daughter kind of mother-father relationship.
Yeah.
And similarly, it's like my relationship with my brother and sister, you know. When you go through something so big, it doesn't just change your life, you know, that
It's a ripple
ripples
effect.
to everyone in your kind of immediate circle. And my mum and dad had to process the fact that they had you know, all you want in life, especially as a parent, is your child to be well and your child to be happy. And I had neither of those things. And obviously then that massively affected them. My mum had to she couldn't go back to work after she had me because I was so unwell. So she effectively became my carer and kind of still is.
Yeah.
So like when I do these trips, for example, the ones I've talked about, she's with me.
Oh,
you know, and that's the thing that you you don't see.
bit different to the Denver motel though.
Yeah, exactly. A bit more lavish.
And
yeah,
rightly so.
exactly. So I think it's, you know, it feels so much more deep.
Yeah.
And like kind of big. But I think that's what's really special is now with what I do, I'm able to sometimes like do things like with my family that feel quite special. And I think, or take them places, or, you know, so that's where I think it's been quite healing for me, because I think that I've spent a lot of my life feeling really guilty for the fact that I took my parents away from my siblings, or, you know, that their life didn't really pan out how they would have imagined it because of everything. So I think for me, it's, you know, being able to like do things with them.
Yeah.
You know, it's made us all so much closer. You know, it's like when I was in hospital I've had nearly 100 operations. Yes, exactly. So it's like when I was in hospital, it's like my mum or dad are by my bedside.
And you're able to have some of those in the UK now?
Yeah, I mean, I have like kind of preventative, because one of my biggest and the worst parts of my condition is I get bleeds. Like I've had like such bad bleeds before that I've been in a coma. Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
So I think for me it's like now everything's preventative. Luckily, like I'm a bit more stable, but when I was really unstable, it's like we never knew, and there's no warning when a nosebleed happens like that I was constantly in this fight or flight mode. I kind of still am, because
kind of always worrying about it.
Sure, like I'm always carry tissues with me. I'm always in this fight or flight. So I think, you know, we all have had to go through so much that it's like it's the non-breakable bond.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's been very difficult. I think that's where it's funny in this industry, because it's so kind of surface level, this industry, like in a way.
I think it can be, but then there's stories and like, you know, people like you, you know, makeup and talking about things like on a surface level, but there is so much more to
That's
it.
it. So I think that's what's been really special is, I guess social media was kind of seen in, I'd say a few years ago, as like a highlights reel of your life.
Yeah.
And it somewhat still is that. It's a highlights reel of your achievements in work or in life or what you're doing or whatever it is, you know. It can be seen as picture perfect, which I think can be quite detrimental.
Yeah,
as someone
absolutely.
Receiving that
Comparison thing that
oh
people
my
do.
God,
And
it's so difficult. You know, we were kind of talking about that before, like how it's hard to stop and appreciate like where we're at, because you're always like, okay, now the next thing, you know, it's how we are in life. I think we're always chasing something more. So I think for me, it's like I've always wanted to try and redefine what social media means to me. And what I get out of it is not external, it's massively internalized, like, you know, how it helps me and fulfills me. But equally, like I do videos where it's like, come with me to have a surgery.
Yeah.
Because that's real. And for people that haven't had surgeries before, it's an insight into that. And like, wow, you know, I never knew it was like this. But also for people that do have surgeries, it's like, I see you.
Yeah.
I'm going through this. Yes, I was just on like the red carpet in Cannes.
Yeah.
But I'm also like still struggling with my day-to-day things.
I still got my tissues in my bag, and I'm like, you know,
I'm not waiting for me in my hotel room, you know, in case anything happens. So I think it's this like massive kind of double-edged sword. But I've always tried to keep it as real as I can. Obviously, there has to be a barrier, like what's mine.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is difficult because it's the most kind of difficult part of my life. But I'll always try and share it in a way that, you know, feels right to me.
Yeah. And that's all that anyone can really like ask for. Like
so people, I think, feel less alone.
Yeah.
Because I think having a chronic illness is probably one of the most lonely experiences ever, because it's constant, it's 24/7.
Yeah.
You're always in this kind of unknown, and I think that's really difficult. I know you never have control. Like I grew up never having control, so I think I found it in quite unhealthy ways. And so I think for me, even just the fact that having my channel has been a constant in my life, and my audience has been a constant in my life. It's something that's always there to turn to.
Community now,
That's
isn't
it. That I think is one of the very few things I have to, you know, that's mine.
Yeah.
Because I think I like grew up with my body never feeling like mine.
Yeah.
It was like with having nearly 100 surgeries, I've got cuts, I've got, everything.
Yeah, and you
my
have from
body.
pillar to post and like,
Exactly.
treatment to
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah, I've kind of always felt like I'm handing it over to
Yeah.
whoever's doing my
Yeah.
surgeries. That I've really had a difficult relationship with it, feeling like I'm connected to
Yeah.
it. And so I think for me now, it's like with my channel, it really feels special. And I feel like with makeup and with my hair or
Yeah.
like doing my nails or like what I wear, it feels like reclaiming that bit.
Yeah.
That's my identity.
Yeah. It's your narrative and it's how you want to present yourself.
For
And
sure. And it's like I'm choosing what I wear.
Yeah.
That is control.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to find those little things that may seem external, but are very much things that
and they're
feel
big and
internally.
important things,
For
and it's
sure.
not surface level.
For sure.
And
It's
anybody that
armor.
thinks it is, then that's not. Yeah, but I guess one of the amazing things about building this community is that you've got to connect with other people with other conditions as well, and that must be really nice because then you're not alone.
Exactly, especially because my condition is so rare.
Yeah.
It affects different amounts of people depending on where it is in
Yeah.
your body. It can be anywhere. So mine's in my face and head, and it affects 3 in a million. So it's
3 in a million.
super rare. Super rare. So I think what's been so insane is like I will get comments maybe every few days where someone's saying I've got an AVM, in this part of my body. I live in India to Mexico to, somewhere in America.
Wow.
And that is what's so special is it's people that like we've kind of just all kind of found each other.
Yeah.
And it's
You've brought them together.
well, yeah, and I would have never known that they existed
Yeah.
otherwise. And like having a condition that's really rare is super isolating as well
Yeah.
because you feel like no one else is going through what you are, or at least you don't.
Well,
You,
very
it's
few
like-
people are.
yeah, you don't know
Yeah.
where they are.
Mm.
And so that's what's been really amazing is that I think people with AVMs, I have a lot of people I know who have found my channel have then started their own through seeing me being able to do it.
Oh my god, and it's giving them the confidence to do that, and
Yeah.
like that's really special.
Yeah, and even I'll have people come up to me on the street and say like, "Oh, I have an AVM," or someone I know has an AVM, and I think that's
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Oh, that's such a rare condition that people actually now know what it's called, and like
I'll have like if someone, because obviously every day I get like, "Oh, what's wrong with her face? What's happened?" I will have other viewers
Being like,
reply
for
that
you.
it is
wow.
and which is all I could have asked for.
Yeah.
They're advocating for you.
Yeah.
They're
They're educating people.
That's it, and it gets so draining when every day you're having to be like, of course you don't mind. It's they're just curious, but every day I'm having to be like, I have like it's called an arteriovenous malformation. You're like, I have this. This is how it affects me. This is why I look like this. It just gets a bit like, oh,
Draining.
why is it also a question?
Yeah.
It's like, can I just not make videos and it not be an issue?
Yeah.
But it's I get it. So it's nice that now it's like, okay, they're like, I got you, Nikki.
Yeah.
I'll reply.
Yeah, it's like, you don't have to do this
Yeah.
now. Like, yeah, we've got you.
Because like, or like say I get hate comments, which obviously is kind of like a given.
Wow.
Unfortunately, being on social media and having something that's different, other people will kind of fight my
Stand in
corner.
for you, and
Yeah.
that's I mean that for me is just
Feels like
such a
I've got
big
my own
given
little
anyway.
army,
But
like,
yeah, and that's what's so nice about building a community that's like there's an authentic one, and it brings people together. And then when you get people that show up that are so short, narrow-minded, and just shouldn't be allowed on social
Yeah.
media, but then not given the time of day,
That's
and then
it.
you don't have to give them the time of day
Yeah.
because you've got this amazing community around you, and that is like incredible.
Yeah, and I think that is what spurs me on. Of course, I'm human. Like, if I see hate comments, it can affect me. There's a lot of stuff I've internalized, but when you see like so many lovely comments and people that stand up for you, almost feels like a big sister. Like standing up for you, like if you were at school.
But it's what you would do for the
around
people
you.
as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's like
That's what you're doing at the UN, really, on
Yeah,
a
I think
bigger scale.
all we want as humans is to feel seen, right? Like that's all we want is to feel seen and a part of
Understood,
something.
really.
Understood, exactly, especially
And
by
not judged.
people. That's it. Like, the world can be so judgmental when all we're trying to do is get on with our lives and like live, and that we all have the same want is just that, to just get on with life and like, live as much of a happy and normal life as we can. And that's the thing we all have in common, in spite of everything that's different about all of us. And so I think, it feels very special to have people, especially that aren't going through what you're going through, advocating for you. I did a panel recently, and people were asking me like, what can people do, like if they don't have a condition or anything, like to be supportive. And I think it's that allyship, that like advocacy even when they don't have to. Because I think too much these days, it's like if you don't have to, it doesn't matter. Like if something doesn't affect you and your bubble of life, it doesn't really.
I think
matter.
it's
You'll
about
step
having
into it.
empathy and consideration for what other
Trying
people
to
are
put
going
yourself
through.
in someone's shoes.
Yeah.
And I think we don't really do that enough as a society these days, because of course you'll get kind of narrowed into like what is happening in our lives. So I think for me, I hope that I'm kind of like, it's been a part of also like opening up people's minds and considering things, even if it's like certain struggles that I or people go through my community that other people haven't considered. You know, I often have conversations with my friends where I'm like, oh, this was a difficulty for me, and they're like, oh, I've never thought about that.
You know, it's so funny because obviously when I did the in-store Sephora
Yeah,
recording with Matilda,
yeah.
some of the things that she was telling me, I felt terrible because I'd never even considered things like facial recognition on your phone. Like, it's such a standard given. Like, but that's just not the case for people with those
That's
different
quite a
foods.
bit what I spoke about at the UN.
Yeah.
It's kind of how we slip through the cracks.
Absolutely.
And all we want is, we don't want, you know, it's like you can say like, you know, we don't want anything but to just be treated
What everyone else has.
as everyone else and just be able to operate and integrate in society fully.
Yeah.
That's all we want. We don't want anything else. We don't want anything more. We don't want to, you know, like be like, hello, like notice me. We just want to feel like we can fully integrate and live a normal life. And it feels like we're asking for something so big, but it's so small. It's like, you know, that's what's so crazy. It's like,
what's crazy is you have to ask for it.
Yeah. It's because it doesn't affect the people, the policymakers.
Yeah.
Therefore, they don't care.
No.
You know, and I think they see it's like, oh, it's a small group, but it's like actually 10% of the population has like a disability or a facial condition.
This ad is brought to you by our sponsor Sephora, and honestly, they just get it. Sephora's mission is to help you celebrate your unique beauty with a curated mix of global brands, cult faves, and names like Merit and Tower 28. Their expert teams are on hand for everything from benefit brow shaping to signature makeovers, and you can redeem services against products too. I mean, iconic. Because beauty should feel like play, not pressure.
So I think
not a small group.
It's not a small group at all, but it's because it's 1 in 111. So it's like not small at all, but because it's not in their realm of like affecting them, it's like, oh well.
It's like, yeah, they don't see it. So, and I think that's what's so amazing about what Face Equality International and you do is it's like, yeah, you make them see it.
Yeah, and it's in a different way than just, of course, advocacy and awareness is the first thing.
Yes.
But it's like, okay, that's great, but now we want like solid, concrete change. Otherwise, we're just going forwards and backwards, like a, you know, up and down like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
In like what's cared about. And so I think for me, that's what like keeps me going is, you know, I think sometimes it's difficult to have hope in, you know, things changing for the better.
Yeah.
So when, you know, you have talks about policies or changes in that way, it helps you feel like there's a hope.
Yeah.
And there's consideration and, you know, things like that. It's even, you know, people not being able to get certain jobs because of their appearance, and them not being able to make a living, therefore not being able to live their life fully. So that's all we want, is to live life fully. And our conditions are the least interesting thing about us. But it's like such a barrier to entry of society.
Yeah.
And that's what's so difficult, is that there's nothing we can say or do that can change people's minds sometimes, you know, if they're already so close-minded about
people are just so stuck on surface level bullshit.
And everyone wants to box you.
Yeah.
And if you don't fit in a box, that makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because they don't know it. So I'm really good friends with Katie Piper.
Yeah.
And I remember I interviewed her a few years ago I had an interview series. And she was saying how, you know, the more you see difference, the more normalized it becomes. And so it's about us having the opportunities, like being on carpets or presenting or whatever it may be, where that normalizes them. So it's like if you see someone, then next time it's like, oh yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
I know
that's normal.
But if you don't see something, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Therefore, it becomes like this ostracized, like scary thing.
Yeah.
Because difference in society is seen as scary because it's unknown.
It's just, you know, when you when you have these conversations, it is so glaringly obvious. Like,
and it's not complicated.
No.
You know, that's the thing, but it's what's so, I think, difficult is when it's an issue so much bigger than you, and there's only so much that I can do.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a policy.
You're doing the damn most, though, and you're doing a
trying,
great job.
But it's like, when you're not I'm not the policy maker.
Yeah.
I'm not like a politician. I'm not up there, you know, being able to change laws or change things or like, you know,
but I feel like you definitely
apps.
You should recognize that you are having a big impact on that. And,
yeah.
You know, I know it sounds silly, like, you know, you say like going to Cannes and doing all these different things, but the deeper level of what you're doing there.
That's why I do it, really.
Yeah. Pretty dresses help.
Like, come on, if I dress up, play dress up. But
fundamentally,
you know, I'll be like shit scared.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, it's like, okay, well, think about like, you know,
why am I putting myself through this? And the reason is
and I think
yourself.
When I went to Cannes, it had such a crazy response. Like I was saying, loads of news outlets picked it up, and it was so like, I was like, what's happening? But it actually, you know, what they were all saying is that, like, you know, she's on here for a cause, not for, you know, they saw that from me just being there, which I think was so special. I didn't even talk. I was on the carpet getting my photo like any other person. And they were like, she's here for a cause, not for the look of it.
Yeah.
And also, you know, she's just owning it.
Yeah.
And I think that's all you can do is just kind of try and own the skin you're in.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's almost hardest in life, is just to accept like you're in your body and this body is yours.
Yeah.
Just, you know, to go through life and just accept that and
Yeah.
love that. And I think
I mean, that's a challenge.
yeah, I mean, I was still massively struggle with it and feeling, you know, like accepting myself. I think we all do,
Yeah.
like condition or not. So I think the fact that like I just kind of was like, okay, like you've got this, like just do it, like, and that was seen to other people, just shows you that conversations can be started without
Yeah.
even doing anything.
Yeah.
It's you just
showing up.
sometimes.
Yeah, just showing
Showing
up.
up, especially when you feel like maybe you're, you know, there aren't other people that look like you, and maybe you do feel like the only person, and that is difficult.
But
'cause
next
it's
year,
like you
hopefully, there'll be
actually-
more people,
That's
and
the
like
point.
that's the point, isn't it?
Exactly. So
yeah.
it's like the door is slammed shut for us, but if I can even just like slightly kind of open it a little bit, like any minority or anything, it's like, okay, well next time it's a bit more.
Yeah.
You know?
I need that that Shania Twain where it's like, let's go, girls, and they kick the
Yes,
door down,
boom.
and that's it. She's
It's
into
literally
it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the energy that you bring.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest and best thing you can do is just trying to own who you are wholly. And I feel like that's like my biggest kind of thing for myself now in life, is just trying to accept like this is me, this is my personality, this is my good, my bad, my ugly, whatever it is, and being like, okay, that's me.
Yeah.
You know, and trying, when you accept that and like fully kind of embrace that, is when I think you like flourish.
Yeah.
Really,
You do, and I think it is that freedom and that liberation and that
For
like
sure.
shedding that restraint.
That confinement, especially when I think, I don't know about you, but at school I felt so confined. Like, I think especially because I did not like myself at all. I was like, all I want to do is be accepted and liked by other people. I was never popular. I was never chosen by like boys or friendships or anything. That massively was internalized by me. I think I still hold a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Massively.
I
Like,
think, well, there are formative years.
for sure. Like they really are, and it's crazy how much that affects you long term.
No.
But I feel like it's really special because obviously I've chronicled me growing up online.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of special watching my
Your journey,
come into myself,
yeah,
I guess.
you've literally grown up online.
Yeah, and
And
it's like, you know, in a good and a bad way.
Yeah.
I see my awkward faces, I see my cringe faces.
You go back and watch those videos, you're like, oh
But
god.
good.
Do you look at some of the makeup looks and you're like, what was I doing?
I was like, I didn't even know what I was doing. No, like I look at stuff and I was like, I was talking like I was a makeup artist, but I like couldn't. I was literally putting on orange foundation.
Yeah, but you're just having a good time as a kid.
I owned it, and it's like I feel like in life you go through like being a child where like you just own who you are, and there's no like airs or graces. You are who you are. There's no sugarcoating. Like you own that because you don't know about like outside opinion.
But then as you open yourself up,
or your
to it,
surest self. And then when you kind of grow up and when you get more outside opinion, and you know when your opinion changes than me or things like that, you kind of become, I felt like I became a shell of myself, because I changed completely as a person, but also like as soon as outside kind of thoughts and conversations and attitudes come in, you completely kind of lose your identity, especially at school when certain things are cool, certain things are not, certain things are this, certain things are that. That you really are like, okay, wait, who am I? Like, I remember, like, I'd force myself to listen to certain music I didn't even like.
Oh,
like,
you think I'm going to be cool like that? Yeah.
It's like, well, if I never get invited.
It's like
anywhere,
picking
but-
clothes that you think people like following
and I'm
trends.
like, I don't even like these.
Yeah.
Like, I remember buying this tracksuit and I was like, I don't even like this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not me,
but I was
but
like, well, I need
to fit
tags
in.
to fit in.
That's
Like,
the thing.
be
It's cool.
liked.
It's not obviously on the same scale at all as what you went through, but like when I was younger, I was ginger. Like, I've got ginger hair.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got to 13 and my mum would let me dye it brown, because I was so
Instantly
bullied by
like-
kids,
Which is mental
But
because it's different.
it's different. And it's like, you know, and it's taken me now, what am I, 37, to finally grow out my collar and like have natural hair. And like, you know, and I'm like, why on earth for so many years did I just hide that? And it's like, it's completely not, I don't say on the same scale, but it's, you know,
but that's so
that
true. It's
everyone
about owning the
relate
thing
to
that
it.
makes,
And
you know, you were probably one of the if not very few people that had ginger hair.
there was like one of the ginger
Exactly.
kid.
And that is the thing that like should have been embraced because that's what
Kids
makes
that are
you.
assholes.
They are. They're assholes, and also I just feel like their parents don't do enough due diligence.
Literally. And it's
That's
like
what really makes me
educating
angry.
parents more as well.
That's it. But it's like, what? You're a fully grown adult. Like your child, I'm like, okay. But it's like, especially when I, you know, because I became a recluse when my appearance changed because I'd get stared at. Like I found it really difficult. I didn't leave my house.
Yeah.
Children would like whisper to each other or their parents make comments. I felt so uncomfortable. But I'm like, you're a parent. You're here with your child while they're making me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As also
And
a
letting them
child.
do it.
letting them do it and not even saying anything.
But what's interesting, I find with children, especially younger ones, when they're not with their parents, they'll ask questions.
Yeah.
Because they won't know anything and they want to educate themselves. So they're curious. So they'll be like, hey, Nikki, you know, what is your condition? Or
and
however
that
kids
doesn't
want to
affect
phrase
me.
it.
Yeah.
No. But the parents will just be like, oh, you can't ask.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that
actually.
makes it taboo even more and like scary even more.
Yeah. And it's like, actually, I mean, that is probably the right thing for the kids to do, to ask.
Sure. And like, what you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And I completely get that. But if you're not, as a parent, doing your due diligence of like, all people are different, you know, then your child is just going to grow up with one mindset. And I think that is so damaging to not only them, but also the
future
people around
generations
them.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because with, like you said, if they do see someone that's different, whether they're ginger or have a disability, like they are going to make life for them so much more difficult, you know. And I feel like now I'm at a point where like you with your ginger and me with my condition, it's like, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
Like this is my difference.
Yeah.
And like, it's not to say that I find it easy some days. Some days like I massively kind of want to hide. Like if I walk on a busy road, I've like internalized a lot of stuff where I like scratch my head to hide my eye. It's just internalized like things I've kind of learned. But equally, I'm like, oh, that's almost my superpower.
Yeah.
Like that is what I'm using in social media. You know, that is my thing that sets me apart.
Like Nikki Lilly. Yeah.
Like, I think we spend so much of our lives trying to run from the thing that sets us apart because that's what is like seen as different in society.
And it's, you know, different. It invokes different conversations and difficult conversations and like, you know, things that put people uncomfortable. So yeah, but actually when you own that and you're like, fuck it, you can be uncomfortable because I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Like get comfortable with it.
You know, like the whole like let them theory.
Yeah.
Like it's literally just like, it's like if someone feels a certain way, let them.
Yeah.
Like if you don't care about like, you know, the only opinion that really matters in your life is yours. And so if you feel secure in yourself, then whoever like Bob is commenting or like someone from school, Tracy from school, like who cares?
Yeah.
You know, like
let them be.
Of course it matters, words hurt.
Yeah.
However, it's like the only voice you hear in your head is yours. So long as you try your best to be kind to yourself in your head, like that's all that matters. You know?
And then, you know, you've got your community showing up and getting rid of them and educating them for you. So that's what really
your family as well that like support you and love you for you.
Yeah.
You know.
So what is next for Nikki and for Nikki Lilly, I guess?
Yeah, I guess for me it's kind of like I don't know where life's going to take me. I feel like I'm in this kind of period where I just want to see where things go.
Yeah.
A lot more advocacy for sure. You know, doing more speeches and things like that, but also doing more presenting. I recently hosted, you know, Adolescence, the show. I recently hosted a panel with all the incredible women that acted in Adolescence.
So cool.
Yeah, and I think what's obviously what I love is that combined my love for presenting, but also, you know, it's such an important topic right now, and it's something that's so real that, you know, it combines two things, you know, that are super important to me, and also shining a light on just incredible women, which obviously we always love to do. It's what your podcast
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it's what the Silly Little Girls Club does. So I think for me it's just doing more of that, combining two things. You know, I love presenting, so anytime I can do it, I'm happy to, whatever it is. But especially when it's about things that are really notable and important, like combining the two, super special. So doing more of that. I really want to do more documentary producing. I'm working on them. You know, there's so much I want to do around dating apps and like how ostracizing they are and difficult dating is for people with, you know, differences. But there is so much I kind of want to do. I want to write my second book that kind of explores like appearance, but all the way back into like literally like the caveman era, you know, because it's always been an issue and it's always been kind of perpetrated that difference is a problem. So I think for me, I really love to do that, exploring the history of appearance and like why it's become so important.
Gosh, is it you're just hearing you wrap this up, like it's like you're 20, BAFTA book, like presenter, like this.
I feel like I've got like I think because of what I've been through, like I've got the mentality of like an 80-year-old.
Yeah, you definitely are.
For sure, I'm an old soul. Like it sounds so like saying that, but I definitely am. Like growing up, I always like if I ever had friends growing up, like if they came round and then their parents came to pick them up, I'd have a better conversation with their parents. Yeah, like I was always that person, and even like my mom, like is one of my best friends. Like I think it's like I'm always, you know. I think, you know, when you go through something like this,
it
you learn
makes you grow up.
You know, it makes you grow up even if you don't want to. It does. And I think that's what's really difficult is I've lost a lot of innocent childhood experiences, a lot of things I've not had. You know, I haven't, not that you have to go to university, but I haven't gone to university. I barely was at school. I didn't go to really parties growing up. Like, I've not done normal child things.
But you're on your own path.
Like, you know, things that you do feel a bit like you've missed out on. And so I feel like Yeah, I struggled with that more like growing up, but I think I've learned a lot of life lessons that a lot of people don't really learn.
Yeah, and they don't get to it.
Exactly.
Get
And
to
a lot of the, in a lot of my life, I haven't had very much to be grateful for sometimes, because if I've been really unwell, but then you begin to be grateful for those really tiny things.
Yeah.
You find beauty in very small, mundane things. The sunset, like, it sounds so stupid, but like,
It doesn't sound stupid.
it's like
amazing.
you find beauty in things that maybe people don't take a
Well,
minute
people
to
overlook,
appreciate.
and they
For sure.
don't think about those things.
For sure.
That's honestly amazing. I've got a few quick fire wrap
Hey,
up questions.
I'm not gonna ramble now, I promise.
No, you're fine. Right, so I literally have like 4 really quick ones.
Okay, hit me.
Ride or die beauty product.
Oh, just I feel like if I'm like don't wear makeup, like if I just curl my lashes, put on a lick of like a good mascara, like I feel like that makes me feel good. But then I also can't live without, obviously, because my hair's coloured.
Yeah.
I have this like coloured mask.
Ah,
And I
okay.
hate mask, so that I can't live without. And also, Aquaphor, like the lip balm.
No.
Oh my god! So there's this lip balm called Aquaphor. They mainly sell it in America.
Okay.
But it's it's this like healing ointment. It's a bit like Elizabeth Arden's aloe cream, and I'll put it everywhere. Like
Okay.
I get like eczema, so I'll put it on my hands. I'll put it on my lips,
And
like,
it's
I
like a
put it
hero
everywhere.
product.
Yeah, I used to be on Accutane.
Okay.
So like
Yeah.
Aquaphor was my savior. So I put it everywhere.
And look at that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Current beauty trend that you're obsessed with.
I think I just love that we're in an age of less is more. Like I feel like now I'm not trying to like pack on my face and make it obvious I'm wearing makeup. Like obviously you can tell, but it's like it's enhancing rather than like covering, and that's always been makeup for me. But I feel like now it's like we're all embracing that.
Oh yeah,
It's more about skincare.
Yeah, like it is all about that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like enhancement. Less is more, which I'm enjoying.
Take that one. Dream collaboration.
Oh, like with a brand or with a person?
Probably. Let's do both.
Okay, with a brand. My dream collaboration sounds really random is Barbie.
That's
because Barbie's doing like so much with like they've quite a lot of disabled Barbies now in a wheelchair. They've got a blind Barbie, they've got a Down syndrome Barbie. Incredible. Yeah. But they've never really changed Barbie's face. Yeah. And obviously, like I said, growing up, I never had anything
to represent you.
Yeah. And I also think a lot of this is not a quick fire question. I also think that children like learn with toys.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I think if you were handed a Barbie that happened to have a visible difference, but it was just another Barbie, that's normal already. Yeah. So Barbie for me is a massive one.
That's perfect. Yeah. That would actually, well, we need to get onto Mattel.
I know.
Is it still Mattel that own Barbie?
Come on.
Barbie, give Nikki a call.
Yeah. Ring me.
And then finally, the advice that you would give to 13-year-old Nikki.
I think 13-year-old Nikki was so like trying to run away from herself, like wanted to be nothing that I was. I really didn't like myself. So I think it would just be like, you have no idea how much power you hold. And I think, you can only believe it when you fully believe it. So it's even if I told myself this, I don't know if I'd fully feel it, but I think it's like, trust that things will work out and trust that your things that you're running away from will end up being your things that kind of are your superpower, I guess. So just trust yourself and trust the journey, I guess.
That's perfect. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I'm so sorry for just rambling at you.
It's perfect. Everything you have to say has such like gravitas and such value. So thank you for rambling.
No, and I like also quickly, I was going to say like the first time I dyed my hair this color was at your salon. Yeah. And I think that's like also so like special because my hair is a massive.
Oh my God, yeah, but you should have always been copper.
I know.
Like, it's your colour.
I know. I know. I wish I was born with this colour. Like, I can't believe that's your natural colour.
Oh yeah, but don't look too close. I've got some greys.
Oh, stop. But yeah, thank you.
Oh my God,
it's been amazing. I'm so glad we could finally do it.
Thank you. While I have you, it would really help me out if you could just hit follow or subscribe, depending on which platform you're getting your podcast from, and I can keep bringing you these amazing conversations with these incredible guests. And yeah, I will see you next week on the Silly Little Girls Club.